Let's discuss Alec Bohm's struggles. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Philly Sad Show Videocast. Here we're discussing Alec Bohm's recent struggles this year, and we all know that he's had a pretty bad start to the season. 2 months in, he currently sits with around 200 average, a 249 on base percentage, just some pretty bad numbers. Now, guys, before getting into this video, please subscribe if you have not yet. Please show notification bell. Please like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and let's get into this. So, it's been a while since I made a video like this, right? I mean, a lot of these videos over the past month or so have been only game recaps, right? With summer around the corner, I'm going to have a little more time to make some discussion videos, and maybe a little weekly go-around of what's going on around Major League Baseball, not just about the Phils. But I've wanted to make this video for some time now, especially as time continues to go on. Alec Bohm just continues to struggle. I think it's really important that we talk about how bad he is, right? I mean, it's just absolutely crazy, especially when you take a look at his numbers last year. It's just a drastic change. He played 44 games last year. 44, right? And Alec Bohm himself has played 53. We all know he did sit out one game. Got the day off. But I tell you what, I mean, his numbers are night and day from last year. I think we all know that. So just a little rundown for you. Last year in 44 games, a 338 average, a 400 on base percentage. You heard me right, a 400 base percentage. This is a guy who is getting on base a lot. I mean, there's no question. You have a 400 base percentage, you're doing a lot of things right. It's absolutely crazy to have that. I mean, that's a really high on base percentage. And a 481 slugging percentage. That's very, very good. And I tell you what, I mean, it's just night and day from last year. His current average right now, 203. I mean, it just keeps going down and down and down. I mean, it's just getting worse by the day. A 249 on base percentage, like I said at the beginning of this video. We all know he's not walking a whole lot. He did walk yesterday against the Cincinnati Reds twice. So if he can just get on base a little bit, turn his 0 for 4s and 0 for 3s, that will help him. He just needs to work on getting on base a little bit more. And a 302 slugging, that is not good at all. I know he's not going to hit the long ball a lot, but I mean, especially, I mean, it's just like, come on. I mean, he just had a really, really bad start. His, past 2 months have not been kind to him. And if you really want to look, we all know the WAR, the more games you play, it's going to help your WAR, right? That's why everyone had such a low WAR last year, is because they're only a 60-game season. But his WAR last year in 44 games was 1.2. I mean, that's not bad in 44 games. His WAR this year in 53 games is negative 0.5. That is terrible. And that is a collaboration of his bad offense, his terrible defense. Now, let me just go and talk about this. His defense, even though he had a good year last year, was still not good at all. He's never been a good defender. That's something that hasn't changed. It's something that we thought he could progress in, but that's something that really hasn't changed. We all thought he fixed in spring training. Of course, everyone's going to make an error. But he just has looked bad on both sides of the baseball. So you just hate to see these kind of numbers. Last year, he had a 139 WRC plus. This year, he's a 52 WRC plus. I mean, that is a drastic change. I mean, the WAR really could show. I mean, a negative 0.5 WAR. That is really bad. I mean, that is really bad. And his WOBA this year, 243. His WOBA last year, 381. So all these numbers, some of these advanced stats, and then you go to look at the non-advanced stats, like his batting average. I mean, it's just a crazy change, 338 to 203. And last year was such a small sample size that, hey, only in 44 games, you're thinking like, hey, you know what, that wasn't a lot of games. We didn't really get to see him play a whole lot. That wasn't like a 150 game span. It wasn't even a 120 game span. That was a 44 game span that we saw him do that. So you have to also keep that in mind. But the way he's playing right now, I mean, it's one thing if he was hitting like 270, you're thinking like, hey, this guy's not for all. This guy's hitting 203. And like I said before, it's not even like he's even getting on base. I mean, he has a 249 on base percentage. And there is another factor I want to talk about. I mean, he hits the ball hard a lot. He really does. He's gotten a little unlucky this year. But I would be making more of that argument if he was hitting like the 260s to 270s. It's hard to make the argument when you're hitting 203. I'm sorry, because like that is so far off, it's unbelievable. It's hard to make that argument when you're hitting 203. Oh well, it's been really unlucky. And you can make the argument with a guy like Harp, because Harp doesn't hit that low. Harp, hits 260, 270. Over the past couple years of his career, we all know he did hit 300 a couple times in his career. But we're not here to talk about Harp. I'm just using him as an example of a guy who gets a little unlucky. You all know that the shift definitely has an effect on that batting average, and he hits the ball hard. He has one of the hardest hit ball percentage in all baseball. I mean, this guy really hits the ball hard. But Alec Bohm, when you're hitting 203, it's hard to make that excuse. And one other thing I've noticed, and I'm going to bring this up, the strikeout percentage is a little bit higher. Last year he had a 20% strikeout percentage. That's not bad. It's not fantastic, but it's not nearly as bad as it is this year. 27.8 strikeout percentage. This isn't a Joey Gallo, but that's still not very good. He really is striking out a lot. Noticing that, everybody's talking about it. Heard Tom McCarthy talking about it. If you heard John Kruk talk about it, and you can just see it. He is pressing. He is really pressing. He's trying way too hard to murder the baseball when he should just have a simple stroke. And I compared him a lot to Anthony Rendon last year of the Los Angeles Angels, who I know is having a bad season. I know that. And I'm going to give this guy a little bit of a shout out. I got into a friendly debate with Vincent Person. I'm sure he's probably going to watch this video. He's a commenter. I'll give him a shout out here. About Nolan Arenado and Anthony Rendon. And let me just say this. If you go back and look at the numbers the past 2-3 seasons prior to the 2021 season, Rendon has put up better numbers offensively. I think those offensive numbers outweigh the defensive numbers. I think Rendon over the past 2 to 3 years, excluding 2021, has been a better baseball player. But this year, Nolan Arenado definitely putting up the better numbers. He's by far the best third baseman so far this year in baseball, because Rendon, we all know he's been hurt, and he hasn't put up the best of numbers. I'm going to use this argument of Anthony Rendon. This guy, he has a really simple approach to the game. He goes out there and plays the game. He's a guy from Richmond, Texas, and he just goes out there and plays the game. He doesn't have all this emotion when he hits a home run. He doesn't ever look excited. This guy, he's a great player when he's healthy, but he doesn't have a lot of, he just goes out there and does his job. And Alec Bohm reminded me so much of him. Because Rendon, this is simple, clean stroke to the baseball. I don't know that Rendon does have a two-handed finish. Alec Bohm has a one-handed finish. But still, even runners in scoring position, ducks on the pond. This was the guy. Alec Bohm was the guy who got the job done last year at runners in scoring position. Alec Bohm was the guy. He was Johnny on the spot when he needed a big hit, when he needed fundamental baseball. Hey. Alec Bohm. He was, claimed as the dad's favorite player, right? I think everybody knows this. I don't even think I have to say this. Alec Bohm is a better baseball player than what he's playing right now. These things are not going his way right now. And I'm hoping that, eventually, he can get his average up to 260, 270, but we're approaching 30 games or so, ladies and gentlemen. We're approaching the halfway point of the season. One thing that he's been a little bit consistent with is hitting with runners in scoring position. And we all know his batting average right now is 203, but with runners in scoring position, he's hitting 275. Now, there have been a few opportunities that he has squandered with the runners in scoring position. The Mookie Betts, I understand he's have the best of seasons, but Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto, they're eventually just going to mess up sometimes with runners in scoring position. You got a guy at third, less than 2 outs. Occasionally, you're going to strike out. You're going to pop the ball up in the infield. You're going to do something that you didn't want to do. But 275, that's definitely not bad at all. It just goes to show you, bases empty, he's hitting 184. So a pretty drastic change right there. And you're going to take a look at his run scoring position numbers last year. A 452 average. You heard me, he got a hit almost half the time he was up when run scoring position. Now, granted, that is only 44 games, but that is off the chart. That's so good. Almost half the time run scoring position, he got a hit. That is really insane. That is just really insane. And the bases empty last year, he hit 267. 267. So he's not the best hitter with nobody on base. You know what it reminds me of? Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper is not the best hitter with nobody on base. Go back and take a look at his 2019 numbers. Same here with Alec Bohm. Now, this is here in 2021, this is a smaller scale. It's absolutely just crazy. He's hitting 184 with nobody on base, and he's hitting 275 when the runner's scoring position. It's just crazy. He's a much better hitter for in scoring position. Even 452 to 275, that's a pretty drastic change, but it's hard to do that consistently, right? That's one thing that he's still been okay with, hitting runner scoring position. He's still, playing some fundamental baseball, but his defense has looked awful. He's just had a bad year. And one thing I've also noticed is he's uppercutting a lot. And that's something that, what was discussed with Scott Kingery, is that the Phillies changed his swing. You all remember back in 2019, things were going good for Scott Kingery. He had another guy that had a pretty simple approach to the game. He was not a power hitter. I believe he hit around 20 home runs in 2019, though. And the Phillies added an uppercut, and that was his downfall. Everyone wanted to blame him. Getting a slow start to 2020. This, that. I mean, no. No, the Phillies were the ones that fought. I mean, most likely, this is only speculation for messing him up. Put him back in Lehigh Valley and get some ABs consistently. But I'm not here to talk about Scott Kingery, but I'm a little bit concerned about Alec Bohm. I really am with that same story. He's uppercutting a lot. It seems like he's trying to murder the baseball, and he wasn't doing that last year. And he had a really just simple approach, but now it seems like he's uppercutting a lot, and he's swinging so hard. He needs to just shorten up his swing sometimes. You go back and look at some of the prospects that the Phillies have had that just haven't panned out, right? And one comes to mind, actually at his position, Mike Franco had a very, very good 2015 rookie season, and he just didn't follow up, with it too well. He just didn't, and that was just such a disappointment, because I think that Mike Franco had so much potential, I think Alec Bohm has probably more potential than Michael Franco did. But that kind of makes me sad. And I'm hoping that Alec Bohm isn't another example, another story that we're going to be telling, in 5 years. Hey, remember this guy who didn't work out. Dominic Brown, Darren Ruff, J.P. Crawford. The list goes on. The list goes on of these bad guys. Eventually, hopefully, don't put Scott Kingery on that list. Another guy that could have been great. Even Nick Williams. I understand he kind of got the shaft when we saw Hart, but. So many guys that could have been really, really good just didn't pan out. Like I said before, you really just hate to see that. You really just hate to see that. It's just like such potential just wasted. Because we all know the potential is there, and the Phillies have a reputation of not being able to develop players, as of late. You go back and take a look at the homegrown, the 07-11 run, those were homegrown talents. Most of them. Take a look at the big three, in my opinion. Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, and Ryan Howard. Those are all homegrown, developed, drafted by the Phillies players. Of course, you had your little throw-ins in there with the Jason Worth. He left after 10, went to Washington, D.C., and played with the Nats. You had your Julio Bañez as the world. Just trying to give an example of how important it is to have homegrown talent. And the Phillies right now just can't be going out and keep signing all these contracts. They need to learn how to develop within. And that is a really, really big problem. I've discussed on here a lot. And I think it was so important I had to make a video about Alec Bohm. That's why he's struggling so much. He's trying too hard, and I think he just needs to turn off his brain. If the struggles continue, this is another thing I want to say. If the struggles continue, what needs to happen is he needs to get sent down to Lehigh Valley and get some more Bs down there, because clearly he's not ready. He was drafted in 2018. That's another big problem with the Phillies, calling up prospects way too early. And I even said that a little bit last year, even though he's doing so well. I'm like, boy, oh boy. Last year was 2020. We called up a guy that was drafted in 2018. I'm like, wow. That's pretty early. And last year didn't really seem to bite us, but this year has been really, really bad. I don't think you need to say that. And it seemed like the Phillies had third base nipped in the bud, but not only just defensively, it's a liability. Alec Bohm isn't hitting. It's a mess. It's really just a mess. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I'm hoping that he can turn it around, but like I said, we're almost, less than 30 games here, halfway through the season. So it's time to pick it up. It's early, but it's not that early, as Jim Salisbury said yesterday. So he needs to turn around. So guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you have not yet. Please turn the notification bell. Please like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Check out the social media. Link in the description section. At Philly Sasso, Instagram, at HeartFanatics, Instagram. Call or text 267-225-3392. Email me. PhillySasso@gmail.com. Do you agree with what I said about Alec Bohm? I want to hear it. I really would like to hear it. Take a look at the game tonight against the Cincinnati Reds. 7th inning, first pitch. Aaron Nola 3-4 with a 3.72 ERA. Going against Sonny Gray 1-3 with a 3.40 ERA. It's been a while since I made a little video like this, so I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am Luke, and I'll talk to you later. Let's go Phillies. I'll see you guys.